So in this way, for learning Sanskrit, you're constantly in touch with Krishna's different names, uh, and therefore, uh, as Prabhupada once remarked, that you're always Krishna conscious while learning Sanskrit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself would speak about Krishna even while teaching Sanskrit grammar, and Srila Jiva Goswami had composed this Harinamamrita Vyakarana. Prabhupada wrote this introduction in 1962, early 60s, and then he remarks, this grammar is still current. This system of grammar for learning Sanskrit was still current in 1962. It is known as Harinamamrita Vyakarana and is prescribed in the syllabus of schools in Bengal. So at that time it was prescribed. We would like to introduce this inside ISKCON, even though there are actually many devotees within ISKCON who are studying and teaching the Harinamrita system, but it should become much more popular than what it has been so far, and at the same time it should be taught in such a manner that they actually learn Sanskrit efficiently. During this time, a great Kashmir scholar named Keshava Kashmiri came to Navadvip to hold discussions on the Shastras. The Kashmir Pandit was a champion scholar, Digvijayi, and he had travelled to all places of learning in India. Finally, he came to Navadvip to contest the learned Panditas there. The Panditas of Navadvip decided to match Nimai Pandit, Lord Chaitanya, with the Kashmir Pandit, thinking that if Nimai Pandit were defeated, they would have another chance to debate with the scholar, for Nimai Pandit was only a boy. And if the Kashmir Pandit were defeated, then they would even be more glorified, because people would proclaim that a mere boy of Navadvip had defeated a champion scholar who was famous throughout India. It so happened that Nimai Pandit met Keshava Kashmiri while strolling on the banks of the Ganges. The Lord requested him to compose a Sanskrit verse in praise of the Ganges, and the Pandit within a short time composed 100 shlokas reciting the verses like a storm and showing the strength of his vast learning. Ashu Kavi. Obviously, this Kashmir Pandit was a genius. Nimai Pandit at once memorized all the shlokas without an error, and Nimai Pandit is a Maha-genius. He quoted the 64th shloka and pointed out certain rhetorical and literary irregularities. He particularly questioned the Pandit's use of the word Bhavani Bhartu. He pointed out that the use of this word was redundant. Bhavani means the wife of Shiva, and who else can be her Bharta or husband? See, the expression Bhavani Bhartu means of the husband of the wife of Shiva. Bhava is Lord Shiva. Bhavani means Shivani, or the wife of Lord Shiva. And Bhartu means of the Bharta, or of the husband of the wife of Shiva. Now, by rules of Sanskrit composition, this is considered to be having a standard defect of redundancy, because it gives the impression that the wife of Lord Shiva could be having another husband. So this by rules of Sanskrit poetics is considered a fault. This is also presented in Chaitanya Charitamrita. All of these pastimes mentioning the Lord's scholarship activities, these are presented in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you simply go to vedabase.com, and you can see it yourself. He also pointed out several other discrepancies, and the Kashmir Pandit was struck with wonder. He was astonished that a mere student of grammar could point out the literary mistakes of an erudite scholar. See, Sanskrit grammar is the gateway to education. In traditional Indian learning, learned Sanskrit grammar, one cannot proceed further, and therefore generally people had the impression that if you are a student or a teacher of Sanskrit grammar, then you're just a beginner in Sanskrit. This personality was, I will talk about it a little later also. Uh, this person was actually gifted. Um, Anyone uh, who has read his later writings will acknowledge that he's not just another ordinary scholar. He was a very very powerful scholar. Mm, does it appear here? No. I think that it would be here. Mm, yes, Keshav Kashmiri. This is the verse. This is the English translation of the verse that Keshav Kashmiri had composed. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started analyzing it. See, this is a fault. Avimrishta vidheyamcha. I'm not getting into all these details, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really knew what he was talking about. The word Bhavani means the wife of Lord Shiva, but when we mention her husband, one might conclude that she has another husband. It is contradictory to hear that Lord Shiva's wife has another husband. If someone says, please give this charity in the hand of the husband of the wife of the Brahmana, when we hear these contradictory words, we immediately understand that the Brahman's wife has another husband. So there are further. There are further. He also explained what were the good qualities of one particular verse. So Keshav Kashmiri was just wonderstruck. He was simply wonderstruck that what is this? How is it possible that so just a mere boy, a beginner in Sanskrit grammar, could analyze his poetry? He was astonished that a mere student of grammar could point out the literary mistakes of an erudite scholar. Although this matter was ended prior to any public meeting, the news spread like wildfire all over Navadvip. But finally, Keshava Kashmiri was ordered in a dream by Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to submit to the Lord, and thus the Kashmir Pandit became a follower of the Lord. Prabhupada explained elsewhere that Keshava Kashmiri was actually a devotee of Sri Saraswati, the goddess of Sanskrit learning, the goddess of Vedic learning, scriptural learning, and she had blessed him that he would never ever be defeated in a debate. However, because she would empower him personally. However, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the source of Narayana, who is the eternal master of Saraswati. So it is obvious that Saraswati would submit to the Lord's intelligence. There's nothing strange about it. So Sri Saraswati explained to Keshava Kashmiri what is the position of this Nimai Pandit, and then he understood that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and then he became a Vaishnava. In fact, he joined the Nimbarka line according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Navadip Dham Mahatmya Parikrama Khanda. Keshava Kashmiri was an incarnation of Sri Nimbarka Acharya, and this is a pastime. Sri Nimbarka Acharya, we learn from the writings of that particular sampradaya, was an incarnation of Sudarshan Chakra. So he is an associate of the Lord. So Keshava Kashmiri, he became a pure Vaishnava. This is mentioned elsewhere. Prabhupada mentions this. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also notes this in his commentary on the Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is mentioned in summary in Chaitanya Bhagavat, but it is brought out in further relief and detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Keshava Kashmiri's later writings, after he became a Vaishnava, also show his great erudition and the amount of blessings that he received from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Certainly, Keshava Kashmiri's writings show the profound influence of the Srimad Bhagavatam on him, and he's a very thorough, versatile scholar. One can clearly see Lord Chaitanya's blessings on him. The Lord was then married with great pomp and gaiety, and at this time he began to preach the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord at Navadvip. We should always remember Navadvip means Navadvip Mandal. We are talking of Prachin Navadvip, ancient Navadvip, which is now called Mayapur. Some of the Brahmanas became envious of his popularity, and they put many hindrances on his path. They were so jealous that they finally took the matter before the Muslim magistrate at Navadvip. It is often remarked by devotees who are well versed with Lord Chaitanya's pastimes that the then so-called Hindus gave more trouble to Lord Chaitanya's mission than the Muslims actually. Bengal was then governed by Pathans, Muslims, and the governor of the province was Nawab Hussain Shah. The Muslim magistrate of Navadvip took up the complaints of the Brahmanas seriously, and at first he warned the followers of Nimai Pandit not to chant loudly the name of Hari. But Lord Chaitanya asked his followers to disobey the orders of Qazi, and they went on with their Sankirtan chanting party as usual. The magistrate then sent constables who interrupted a Sankirtan and broke some of the mridangas, drums. When Nimai Pandit heard of this incident, he organized a party for civil disobedience. He is the pioneer of the civil disobedience movement in India for the right cause. This is for the right cause. Civil disobedience merely to change political leadership is hardly worth it. What is the use if the leaders are disobedient to the supreme leader, Krishna? Navam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhama maya pahritagyana asuram bhavam ashrita. One who doesn't surrender to Krishna is a fool, is as good as an ass. And these persons, they might be glorified by other low quality asses, but it means nothing. So therefore, mere civil disobedience just to change political leadership, replacing one donkey with another donkey, is useless. This is civil disobedience for the right cause, to ensure that everyone attains the 7 great effects of Harinam Sankirtan: Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, purification of heart; Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam. Everyone attains a peaceful condition free from the threefold miseries of material existence, and so on. This is the right cause for which one should engage in civil disobedience. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on the evidence of Srimad Bhagavatam, took this up. He organized a procession of 100,000 men with thousands of mridangas and kartals, hand cymbals, and this procession passed over the roads of Navadvip in defiance of the Qazi who had issued the order. Finally, the procession reached the house of the Qazi, who went upstairs out of fear of the masses. The great crowds assembled at the Qazi's house displayed a violent temper, but the Lord asked them to be peaceful. At this time, the Qazi came down and tried to pacify the Lord by addressing him as his nephew. He pointed out that Nilambar Chakravarti referred to him as an uncle, and consequently Srimati Shachi Devi, the mother of Nimai Pandit, was his sister. He asked the Lord whether his sister's son could be angry at his maternal uncle, and the Lord replied that since the Qazi was his maternal uncle, he should receive his nephew well at his home. In this way, the issue was mitigated. This gives a very clear indication of the Hindu-Muslim non-tension relationship. Their relationship was not filled with great tension, at least amongst the scholars, amongst the Hindu and Muslim strata of society. In this way, the issue was mitigated, and the two learned scholars began a long discussion on the Quran and Hindu Shastras. The Lord raised the question of cow killing. Notice this. Notice this. The Lord is not talking about Yuga Dharma.